What's up, you guys? Scott86 here with Scott86's Random Movie Reviews. Today, we're going to be reviewing the movie The Last Dragon, starring Taimak. Badass movie. It's an 80s flick, 80s martial arts movie. There was Bloodsport, you had Kickboxer, all these badass martial arts movies. This was one of the more rare and obscure movies that a lot of people don't really know about. And I actually hear that they're making a remake of the movie, which kind of sucks because you saw what they did to Karate Kid. So the main character of the movie is Bruce Leroy Green. Yeah, he's a badass. He's pretty much just like Bruce Lee. He trains in the same martial arts. He's like just as much of a badass. Okay, so the movie starts off and we have this awesome montage where they're playing the Last Dragon theme song and he's just like training basically, and his master comes out at the end of the beginning credit montage or whatever, and he's like wielding a bow and arrow and he's like shooting bow and arrows at him, and Leroy's just knocking him out of midair, you know what I'm saying? Catching him and shit. It's fucking insane. Okay, so shortly after he's done training, him and his master start to talk, and basically his master tells him that he's got to find the one true ultimate master so he can achieve the almighty glow. Basically what the glow is just being a martial arts master. So of course he's going to want to find this mysterious glow so he can obtain like the ultimate power. His sensei tells him of this master named Some Dumb Guy. He goes down to the fortune cookie place and they don't let him in. They kind of make fun of him a little bit, give him a little bit of a hard time, and then they shut the doors. He has to come up with a new way to get in there so he can obtain the glow. Bruce Leroy Green goes on this crazy adventure of trying to find the glow and trying to find the master. Let me go ahead and get to the bad guys of the story. Okay, so you got Eddie Arkadian. He's this balding asshole that basically owns this giant arcade, and I guess he owns like a string of them or something, like a chain of arcades, hence the name Eddie Arkadian. And you got Rock, which is like the muscle. You might have seen this guy in Dumb and Dumber. I haven't really seen him in anything else but this. I mean, I could be wrong. There's this really awesome scene where Leroy Green, the badass of the film, he's in a movie theater actually watching a Bruce Lee movie, and like there's a bunch of people in there watching the Bruce Lee movie. Enter the Shogun. Yeah, the Shogun of Harlem. Every time this guy enters the room, he's there. He's this dude, this big tall guy, and he's got like this Gene Simmons hair almost, and he wears these like football shoulder pads and all this shit. He's basically trying to look like a samurai, I guess. That's what he's going for. And he's just making an ass out of himself. He's being super loud and all this shit. And he's just like taunting the crowd and saying, if you think I'm too loud or something, you can come down here and shut me up. Whoever wants to come down here and shut me up, come on, or some shit like that. Some little kid in the crowd's just like, I know who could beat you. Of course, Shogun's like, what the fuck you say, motherfucker? They find the little kid, and he's like, who's bad enough to beat me? Bruce Leroy! And he points to Mr. Leroy Green just kind of chilling, watching the movie, all humbly and shit. He walks up to Leroy, and he like gets all up in his face and shit, just taunting him, and he's a really humble guy, He doesn't get hot or anything, he just kind of gets up and walks out. There's this big like brawl where everybody's trying to kick the Shogun's ass, and he's just whooping people's asses right and left. Leroy walks out, and Shogun's like, I will get you to fight me someday, somehow. He sees this woman named Laura Charles. She's like being abducted, and he basically just interferes. The dude's about to like punch the girl or something, and he like grabs his hand, and he's like, you probably shouldn't do that or something like that, and he like pushes his hand away, and then they start this big rumble. He kicks a knife out of this one dude's hand. It's pretty tight. Okay, so during the scuffle, whenever he was beating the shit out of the guys that were trying to kidnap Laura, he dropped his golden medal that his sensei gave him. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. His sensei gives him this, like, golden medallion. He accidentally drops it, and the girl picks it up, whenever she gets into the taxi, so now the chick has the medallion. We go to Eddie Arcadia. Let me go ahead and explain what his entire mission is in this movie. He shot a music video for his girlfriend or whatever, and he's trying to like blow her up, you know, so he can just like thrive off of her success. He really wants to show Laura so she can put it on her show because she's like a host of some like Soul Train type show, you know, and he really wants her to play the video on the show. She's just not really down to meet with him. That's why they tried to kidnap her. Okay, and I also failed to mention that Eddie Arkadian has this like fish tank in his office, some kind of creature in there that Rock was like feeding chicken legs to or some shit. I don't know. He's like feeding some kind of meat to this thing. It just pulls out a bone, you know, so it's something pretty fucking lethal inside that tank. The Shogun of Harlem, you know, he's just trying his hardest to get Bruce Leroy to fight him. He even goes down to his dojo, you know what I'm saying? He humiliates the guy in front of his entire class. Bruce Leroy teaches a martial arts class himself. He's just going all out to try to get this dude to fight him. Eddie Arkadian's boys go back. They lie to him and tell him it was like 20 dudes with like bats and chains and shit, and they whooped their ass. They jumped them. So they're just sitting there talking, and he's like, look, Rock, I got a mission for you. Rock does what he's supposed to do. He goes down to the studio and pretends like there's some kind of like trying to tell her there's something wrong with the sound. So she has to go out to this truck for some reason. As soon as she walks into the truck, he like shuts the door, you know, and then takes off. And Leroy's like kind of like, he's like right there whenever it happens. He sees it happening, and then they drive off. Right before Rock gets into the truck, he drops this like metal notebook thing. It says Eddie Arkadian on the front of it, so that's basically how he knows that he has the lead that he needs to find her and save her. They're forcing the chick to watch the video. She's hating it because the woman singing is terrible, you know, it sounds so fucked. They're like making her watch, like the dude's like sitting there holding her head at one point so she'll watch the video. She's done watching it, you know, he's like, what'd you think? She's just kind of like, you know, I don't know, I don't want to hurt your feelings by saying it was shit, but I mean, you know. Basically, she tells Eddie Arkadian to go fuck himself, and she's not going to play his stupid music video, his shit music video on her show. You know, he doesn't have a chance in hell of having his music video played on her show, basically. I guess he's like about to feed her to the fucking thing in the tank or something when all of a sudden, boom, Leroy Green comes in dressed like full Ninja Gaiden suit, starts throwing like shurikens into people's hands and make them drop the guns and shit. It was so tight. Kicks everybody's ass in the room. The chick's just like in the corner getting super turned on. Bruce Leroy grabs Eddie by like the shirt and he's like looking at him and he's like, hot head could use cool water or some shit like that. And he like dunks his head into the fish tank with the fucking ferocious beast for like a second. And Eddie Arkadian's just like fucking almost had a heart attack, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh my god, like I just saw my fucking life flash before my eyes. I saw those fucking teeth coming towards my face. Oh, the last dragon, you possess the power of the glow. The last dragon, you possess the power of the glow.